Uh, all right. So yeah, I'm just showing off the middleware. Some of the endpoints for that I made for my broken ULock, and right here I'm just gonna show off the Firebase endpoint for logging in. So what I did here, right? And you could talk to. This is a conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. So I made a middleware, right? That it checks if the user exists. If the user exists, then it logs them in. Then I mean, if the user doesn't exist, it creates the user, and then it continues with the procedure of finding the user and doing all of that. So I have it the middleware. I think it's in this one, or it might be in the user's middleware. Yeah, it's in the user's middleware. All right. So let's see what it's. It's check if user exists. Um, all right. So this one right here, check if user exists. And what it does, I have it like so. All right. Let's say the user doesn't exist, right?
Right.
It does a find by ID, and if there's a user, it goes next, which runs this function, logs them in, and says welcome back. If there's no user, um, it registers them. Actually, it doesn't send them to this one. It just registers them and does everything the way it's supposed to do. So, so yeah, it'll register them. It'll take their email and it'll take the everything before the @ sign,
Hmm.
and make that their username. Which then later they'll be able to log in and change that if they want to change their username. Which is it's perfect because you can't have the same email and you can't have the same username. So having a unique email kind of gives you the unique username also.
Right.
Um, then it registers them. It gives them an avatar because I have this avatar that it gives them like automatically, or I could take the one from Firebase and I could take the Google login avatar and pass that in here. But I decided to just give them this blank person avatar. And then after that, it adds them. So this if it doesn't exist, yeah, it fills in this information, and then it adds them. So it registers them, and then it gives them the welcome message. And then if they log in again, it just gives them the welcome back message. And that's how I
Makes
did
sense.
the Firebase one. Real simple. And then I left the regular login and log out just in case I might want to use this for when I want to add admins in there. If I want to make a login form for admins and I want to make them like a like the what's it the role, give them like an admin role. I could use this for like private people, like or maybe people that also start working for me or working for the website. Um,
Right.
and then oh man, I'll show you one of the middlewares I'm really happy about, and it's the notification middleware. It's the one where so let's see right here. Let me make this smaller. These are to get all the comments and stuff. Uh, all right, so this one goes through 4 middlewares, and all these middlewares do is one of them it checks it's restricted access, so it makes sure that the person commenting is logged in. And then it verifies that the post exists. So I can go to the post middleware. And right, verify post exists. So it does a find by ID. If post exists, it goes to next. If it doesn't, it'll give you a bunch of middleware it'll give you a bunch of messages that say, like post doesn't ID, or if you try to change it, it gives you that you're not the owner of the post. Um, and then it preps the new comment. So it adds in all the information you need to add in there. And that would be in my comments middleware, where it's prep new comment right here. So it takes the ID from the, oops, this one I'm having mad issues. I'm like, what the hell is going on? um, yeah, I was like having issues setting up the headers the other day. I don't know why. Um, so it preps the new comment, right? It takes the ID from the post that it's from the URL that's coming in. So it takes that params.id, and then it takes the decoded tokens ID, which is the person commenting.
Right.
And then after that, it preps comment notification, which that would be in the notifications middleware. So it's prepping the comment and then it's prepping the notifications also. That's gonna get sent. It's gonna choose where they get sent out to the person or not if the IDs don't match. So prep comment notification. Yeah, prep new comment notification. Um, yeah, so after I like got really comfortable with middleware, I started building this crazy stuff out. So it makes a variable with an empty array. And then I'm gonna start filling in that array. That way it doesn't come in and bother any of my other stuff, like the comment stuff.
Right.
Since I'm only passing in like the rec.body to the add comments. So what it does is it gets the sender ID, and that's the decoded token. That's the person sending the token. And then it gets their username, which is the decoded token username, which we get from when you decode the token. It sets by default the notification is seen. The notification seen is set to false, and when the person sees the notification, it sets it to true, and that kind of like can't like takes out the notification sign. So it like similar to like emails or when you see an Instagram post and then it doesn't show that it's new anymore. And then it takes the
Right.
post ID and it uses the rec.params ID from the link. If the rec.body receiver ID, so if the receiver ID, no rec.body receiver ID, so it also sends this back, and then what it does is it matches it. So let's see. Right now it's searching the find by ID receiver ID. All right. Actually, I don't know where that one came from, but it works. Let me see. Um, oh, okay. This is for when they're tagged. So if you tag somebody, I haven't worked out this part in the front end, but if you
Mm-hmm.
tag somebody, that's gonna send back as the rec.body receiver ID. So their ID is gonna be sent back with us instead of only the comment. So you could write your own comment, and then once you press tag, that also gets added to the state, and that will get sent back to us. Now, what it's gonna do if you did tag somebody,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna find them by ID, then it's gonna add like all their information, like their username and their ID. If not, then what it does it finds so it's gonna find the poster by like the person that posted it by ID.
Right.
Um, it's gonna set them as oh wait, sorry, I got mixed up. All right, so it's gonna find the what's the word? So it's taking the rec.params.id from the post. So what it's going to do then, it's going to take that post and it's going to find by ID and it's going to get the user that owns the post so it could tag them automatically. So this one, if you're talking to somebody in the post, they get the notification. If you're not talking to anybody and you're commenting on somebody else's post, the
Uh-huh.
person who owns the post will get the notification. After all of this is ready, it goes to next. And then here it starts getting everything ready. So it's going to do the comments first. It's going to add the comment. It's going to insert all the information that's supposed to be inserted. Yeah, I haven't looked at this since like 2 weeks ago, but if there's a decoding, if the decoded token, which is the person logged in, if their ID equals the same ID as the receiver, it just sends the inserted and it doesn't send any notification. So that means if the person who owns the post is commenting on their own post, it doesn't send a notification. If
Right.
else, which is if the IDs are different, meaning you're commenting on somebody else's post and the post owner, let's say their ID is 2 and your ID is 1, those are
Yeah.
2 different IDs. So that would be the else one where it creates no notification and it sends it to the receiver. Um, and then yeah, I think that's like the most funnest middleware that I made yet.
Nice.
Like bunch of middlewares. Just because and then I also have other ones, but yeah, I don't know. Is there anything you want to see?
No, that looks good. So you yeah, and then your restricted middleware is just basically working like
Yeah, that's how you get like the user's information. With the restricted middleware, you got their it would
right.
be right here, restricted middleware. Um, where is it? Yeah, you get their decoded token, which has their ID and it has their username.
Nice. Yeah, that all
Yeah,
looks really good. Yeah.
yeah, and then I have one that when you make when you make a put request, it
Uh-huh.
also it also it also adds it also adds it to a history section. Um, so this is actually another part of my favorite ones. Where is it? It's in the post ID.
Uh-huh.
I mean not the post ID. It's in the post router. Um, all right. So is it this one? Yeah, this one. So it goes through the middleware. It makes sure you're logged in. Then it verifies that you own the post before you're able to edit it. That's pretty simple. Um, then I have an if statement that checks if you updated all of these three, it's gonna save it to a history. So it's gonna save it to the locations stuff. So I can pull up this, and I have these routers, but I'm not really using them. But if I wanted to, I could. It's
Right.
basically doing the same thing as a post request in here, where it's gonna take all that information and it's gonna add it all in there, and then it's gonna post it. So what it does is that when you update it, it also saves it to the history
Mm-hmm.
of like last seen locations. So if your bike got stolen, and let's say today you saw it in Brooklyn, it got stolen in Manhattan. You
Mm-hmm.
then somebody saw it in Brooklyn, so you wanted to update your last scene.
Yeah.
You would update the last time it was seen, and as long as the latitude and longitude update automatically. I'm gonna have it using Google Location, where if you insert a location for last
Mm-hmm.
seen location, it'll automatically pull up latitude and longitude. So as long as you update this on the front end,
Yeah.
this is also going to be updated automatically on the front end, and it's going to send those three back. So what
Ah.
that does is that if this if statement is true, that it has all of these from the front end,
Mm-hmm.
it creates the new location, and these are like the last seen locations, and then it saves it to the history. So then I'm gonna have a Google Map rendering for that person's bike for the one. It's gonna be a map just for that one bike, and it's gonna
Right.
show a marker from where it was stolen, and it's also gonna show a marker of all the locations that it's been seen when it was after it was stolen. Um,
Wow.
does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then yeah, I just have like these other these are endpoints that I probably won't use, but actually, yeah, these are endpoints that I don't use. I just had them made so I could test them out.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's like very little endpoints for the front end. And then these are just extra endpoints that I have available after I made the back end, just because so I could test it out.
Yeah.
So then automatically this one also you need a post by ID. So you could, if I wanted to, I wouldn't even have to make it a put request in here. I could just automatically add a new scene location to the
Mm-hmm.
history by default. But it's better this way. That way it's also saved to the post itself.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think those two endpoints are probably my favorite.
Yeah.
With the notification ones probably being my most favorite.
Right. No, that's really cool. That's the cool system you came up with. Did you how did you figure all that out?
Dude, I just the once I figured out the prep notification, like getting I think the best way to show you is the simplest one. Let's see the posts one. Okay, so we're in post now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we want to make a new post. So after I figured this one out, oh man, everything just came to everything came to me. Like I just finally understood how middleware really works and what it's supposed to do. So let's look at the middleware for this one. And it's just a simple one that when you get the rec.id and
Mm-hmm.
the rec dot yeah the rec dot body dot sorry, when you pass the token into the restricted and you get the decoded token back that has the ID and the username,
Mm-hmm.
I use that information to go to my next middleware where let's see, I prep the all right. So this is prepping the new post, and it's just gonna take the user's post and then it's gonna set this is a boolean, so it's gonna set it to false automatically, meaning the person just made this post, so this is their ID, and their bike hasn't been found, like it's not found. So
Yeah.
this is prepping it for the new post. After that, honestly, I just inserted and everything, and then I have my model send me like all the information that I need back. So let's see. It would be in the ad, I think, right? Yeah. Yeah. So the ad one just sends me all the information from where is it? Blah blah blah. So the find by ID. So I get all the information. So once it gets added, it's gonna find by ID right here. Yeah, and then I have all this information that I get back. So I have all my tables connected with the comments and the posts and the username. So when somebody makes a new post, like when a user makes the new post, I only need to prep the post a little bit. I just have to add the user's ID, and I just have to add whether it's been seen or not, which is going to be set to false. And once that's done, the backend takes care of the rest, which is the post models. The post model takes care of the rest, where it adds it, and then it finds by ID, and you get all this information back. And this is what populates your post page. But I decided to also send it back, just so the person sees that everything was posted well and it's all inserted and everything.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it gets a little crazy. It's like I haven't looked at this in 2 weeks, so but then it's funny because everything just like looking at it again, it just kind of pops back up in your mind.
Yeah. No, that all looks really good.
But yeah,
awesome.
once I learn how to prep the new post,
Uh-huh.
to prep the post. Yeah, once I learn how to do this little bit of information, oh man, the sky's the limit. I realized I could do so many like calls inside of here alone. Like I can set the rec.id and I could find the user by ID. I could do all this crazy stuff. Like right here, I'm doing it where it verifies the post owner. And what it does is it takes the param.id, which is coming back from the what's it called? From the post. It searches the post by ID, and then it gets the username from that post. It uses their ID and it compares it to the user's ID that owns the post.
Yeah.
If both IDs match, it sends it to next. If it doesn't, it tells me that that I don't own the post. User does not own that post. If there's an error, then if the post doesn't exist, or it fails when it tries to catch, like when it tries and awaits and catches, it sends you the no post with that ID, meaning that it's not available, it doesn't exist. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I just had, and the thing is that I've only put in I've put in a lot of hours, but I did it in less than a week.
Yeah.
Like 40 hours, maybe, like 8 hours a day for like, not even more. Maybe like 10 hours a day for like 4 days.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. That's like super impressive. Yeah, that's what that's what I would expect for like a real world backend to look like. And like building it out like that fast is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and oh man, I haven't had time to put it together, but I think I'll stop. Is there anything else you want to see, or very
No,
curious?
that looks good. Yeah.
Awesome.
That looks totally cool.
I'll probably just stop the recording now, but thanks for being interested.
Yeah, no, definitely. This is all really good stuff to see. I like I like seeing how the whole system kind of comes together, because I feel like for me specifically, learning a lot of this stuff really comes down to context. And if I'm just learning stuff, like computer science, and you're not putting any context to it, then like it doesn't really click. But whenever we're building, or like I'm seeing stuff, actually working in like a real way, like it just helps everything come together. And then I'm like, okay, that all makes perfect sense. I see what we're doing.